Hey everyone, today we're going to talk to Amanda. Her husband also is a partner, but right now we're going to talk to Amanda. Amanda is a long career or business and tax strategies for small businesses and also mergers and acquisitions, streamlining processes. She also has a health story to share, which we'll get into first. But Amanda kind of share, a bit more on, what you guys do and how you help businesses and investors, real estate investor. I forgot to mention that too. So could you share a little bit more on that?
Well, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. It's such an honor, and I'm excited to share both our journey in business and my health journey as well. And hopefully, everything we bring today brings value to those that are listening. And in the business side, I want to just share a little story because sometimes people say, "Well, how did you get into this?" Well, my husband, he was a young entrepreneur, very successful. Somebody crushed his larynx in a basketball game. You think a simple basketball game, how could something like that happen? But that one act, he didn't have health insurance, and he ended up having to sell his business and start over from scratch. And that led him saying, well, what could I have done? What could I have done for my business? What could I have done for myself? And it took him into the financial world. And he said, well, if I could help companies really protect themselves and help build everything and keep it all together, you work so hard to build everything up. Well, how can I do that? So today, this is what we do with small business owners. We help people reduce their taxes, their risks, their liabilities, and we help them also just grow their cash flow, their efficiency, their value, and bring the network of specialists that may be needed to have these things work. Because some are tax, some are legal, some are financial. And then how do we bring that whole picture together for that business owner and their team?
Awesome. That's a great story. I mean, you got me with the health one because that's one of the businesses I'm in, providing healthcare for the small businesses who can't afford. Anyway, we'll not get into that, but mainly I want to get into first your health journey. I mean, you kind of shared about your husband, but you have your own health journey to share and how you overcome that. Could you kind of share that, what did you have and how you're dealing with it and how you like manage everything and recover from it, all that stuff. So
yeah, well, thank you. Sometimes things happen that we don't choose. And I was very young. I was about a year and a half, 2 years old. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And I have dealt with this ever since I was a kid. So to be honest, I don't know what life is like not, without it. And I'm over the age of 40. I won't say my age, but to be honest, to be here at this time, I feel so blessed because it's an everyday management of sugar, what you eat, how much you work out, everything plays off of each other, and how much insulin you have in your body. You could drop super low, which I have, which is scary, where you could literally pass out or pass away. And that could happen at any time. And I've had a few scary journey components where I passed out driving. Now that you would say, oh my goodness, thank goodness I was protected, but I drove 2 miles unconscious, and it really woke me up to, I got to be on this all the time. I really, really, I wear the devices, I have it, but even then, you've got to plan ahead. You've got to really look at the situation and what do I need to take to be prepared. And so, thank God I'm here today, but that journey has taught me a lot. One, about, just you got to do it every day. If you like it or not, you're going to need to take care of yourself. I was about 40 pounds heavier than I am today. I just thought I would always be overweight. It was a mental thing. I thought, well, I'm diabetic. It's so hard to lose weight. I'm not ever going to lose this. And I thought, no, what? I'm going to get healthy and I'm going to change everything and I'm going to get my blood sugars under control. And that's what I did. I've been at like what's called an A1C 6.0, which is almost like a normal individual that doesn't have diabetes. I've been able to maintain that for a number of years. I lost the weight and have kept it off. And it has just been a tribute to the daily things we do with our health make a big impact over our lifetime. So for me, it's every day, every day.
awesome. That's a great story. I mean, something you shared about, I kind of shared the similar thought pattern I had. So that was a great one where like you thought like you're always going to be big or certain body shape, whatever. I used to think that too. I mean, I was a college athlete and I'm not in the shape. I wasn't in the shape I am in now, even when I was a college athlete, because you're exactly right. If you change the eating and monitor yourself and do the right things, it's amazing what shape you can get into, no matter the age. So, I'm over 50, so,
I
so
know, it's incredible.
so like you don't look 40. So could you like a little bit go into what you have done for the health ways? I mean, we won't get into too many details because we want to get into the business side, but like what are some of the top 2 or 3 things you have done to get into that great, health and shape and everything?
I'll say that the one thing, when I lost the weight the first time, I just literally went into the kitchen and I rated everything. I actually got a book. I don't know if you know this book, Eat for Your Blood Type. It was actually, somebody told me about it and I was like, oh, what's that? Okay, so let me find out what my blood type is and let me see if it really works. And I just took everything out that this book said and I went a 100% on it. And it took a year. That's one thing I think people, when you think about weight or you think about your health, and you're like, you want it to happen tomorrow. It didn't happen tomorrow, but just that dedication. And I started walking and I started running. And, to be honest, I'm a type 1 diabetic. I never thought I could run a marathon. I have ran 2. The second one was to prove that I could actually do it, because I did it the first time. I'm like, no, I got to do it 2 times to prove that I can actually do this. But to go 26 miles and to be able to maintain that. But what I do, right now I walk. I used to run a lot when I did the marathons. I walk every day, or try to at least. And then eating as healthy as possible. I will say, I swing, meaning I eat really good and then eat really bad. But, I think it's maintaining a little bit of that healthy every day and not making it so hard for yourself that you're like, I can't have that, because as a diabetic, they say you can't have sugar. I'm like, no, I can have anything I want within moderation, and I will pay for it some way or another if I eat too much. So for me, it's really just that, looking at it every day and what am I willing to pay for, and what am I going to do to pay for it? Does that mean I'm going to walk a little extra or do a little bit more?
Awesome. Yeah, we could get into more stuff, but I will, that's probably a different podcast. So we'll get into the business. So now let's get into the way you help businesses, right?
Yeah.
I guess give the top 3 things business owners, at least especially small business owners, because the bigger businesses, obviously they got a contingent of people maybe doing different things to help run the business efficiently, cut costs, all that stuff. For the small businesses, how do you guys help, and what do they, top 3 things that you come in, usually you see the problems, or top 3 things you think are the problems that small business owners don't pay attention to?
Right. So the first one is taxes, right? If you're making good money, taxes will come up and it's painful to pay it. We always say there's only 3 things you can do with taxes. You can either pay it, you can spend it, or you can invest it. So out of those 3, which one would you prefer to do? And sometimes the other part of that, you have a tax issue, it's cash flow. So if you have a tax issue and it's coming due, but the cash flow is a little tough because you're going month to month on the business, then this will be tough anytime anything happens. So helping business owners really with that cash flow management, how to put some of their money aside and plan for things. Like, we're always taught in finance that you should have a 6-month emergency savings plan personally. But nobody ever talks about this for businesses. And we saw, when you go through any economic downturn and that impacts the business, if you don't have any cash on reserves, this is tough. So cash flow is another one. And then most of the other options that we can offer and where we really help is, and the pain points is just operationally, how to have things run smoother, to save time, to save money. How can I really think about it as somebody coming in and organizing your home, and you're like, wow, I can see everything. I can get to everything quickly. I like to do this for businesses. Put everything in order. What's missing? What are the bottlenecks? What's slowing you down? What's killing the time in the day for you and your team? And how do we either eliminate that or use it to our advantage and move things forward? But most of the time, we're in our heads thinking, well, I'm just working in my business. I don't have time to work on this other stuff. So it's then coming in and saying, well, how can we help you? And what's the impact on your journey right now? Is it hurting your bottom line? Is it impacting your personal life? Are you working too many hours a day? And how can we make everything more efficient?
Awesome. So I'll jump into the follow-up question with that, right? So is that how, creating those systems, processes, all that stuff also lead the businesses who want to sell it, be able to be more sellable? Is that one of the things you do? Because we talked about it where you help with the business acquisitions and all that. So is that one of the things you help? I mean, people want to buy businesses and also people want to sell businesses. Could you get into that a little bit?
Absolutely. When we come in, we're looking at how do we really set this business up with the end in mind. So how can we, if you have everything, if you can step away from your business, think about flying a plane, right? If you were to say your business is a plane and we took off and you're like, you know what, I got to go. All your clients are on the back, all your collaborators, you just can't leave. Who's going to fill the seat? A plane is always flown with a few different pilots, like at least two. So if one has to step away, one's there. So when you can build your business to be able to run without you, you've got a sellable business. Now that's putting all the pieces in place and getting all organized that take a little time and effort, but they pay off exponentially later. And if we can reduce the risk, right? So risk management is a part of that. Reduce risk, reduce those bottlenecks, increase efficiency and value. If you don't know your value, you will want to know it, because if somebody comes your way and says, hey, I'd like to offer you this, and you go, well, I'm not sure what I'm worth. Then it's tough to have that, and you've got to go through the process. So all these components come together to be able to really have a best in class business. If you're okay running average or below average, okay, that's what you decide. But if you want to move your business to best in class, these are some of the strategies that will get you there and make you sellable later.
Got you. On that end, right? So is there a specific niche you guys stick to as business wise, or is there I understand probably the size wise, like, hey, this much revenue, beyond that, we probably won't deal, you're better off somewhere else. Maybe share that first, and also kind of any niche, like this type of businesses, that's what we specialize in. We can help you really well because we dealt with so many, if you have anything like that. So could you share anything about that?
Well, if we look at the niches, I would say that, service-based industries, I just gravitate to it. I love those that are in the service-based industries that are really impacting others. But we are industry agnostic. I've worked across the board, from technology to, attorneys, medical, and across the board, coaches, transformational things. And it's so exciting for me. I actually like it. I like the diversity because it brings an element, but there's so many things that are the same in businesses that are really, when it comes down to building things and putting the structures in place, you're following the same process, but it's just then customized to that business, whatever that business might be, whatever their clientele might be. However, we need to structure the customer value, maybe bringing in more, repeatable business, and looking at those different components. Now, size-wise, we usually work with smaller businesses, so anywhere from 25 million and under, and really that 1 to 5 million range is kind of a sweet spot, because from there we can always get people up to the next level. So it's like using our network, who then after us would be really great. And a lot of companies, they're too expensive, or they don't work with the smaller companies, and they're like, you need to go back and figure this out. And these companies are left going, well, what am I supposed to do? And how am I supposed to get up to this level? And so we're like kind of a nice hybrid that kind of bridges the gap and gets them to the next step they want to be.
Awesome. So yeah, just to clarify, right, about the taxes, maybe we forgot to mention that you don't do the CPA work. You're more strategy planning. Just want to make sure to the audience what you guys do. I don't know if you want to go a little bit more detail there. I don't know if you want to share that.
Yeah, absolutely. We chose to be strategic in the tax planning side. There are so many good accountants out there, and to be honest, we collaborate with CPAs, we collaborate with enrolled agents. We enjoy it, and the reason we do that is we don't do the filing, we don't do the bookkeeping. We understand it. We can work with those that are doing it, but bringing in the strategies, what we have seen is a tax plan is only good as the plan, but it's not going to do anything unless the business owner actually implements it.
Right.
So our kind of niche is that you could get a plan from your CPA and your accountant, but if you don't know how to implement it, we could help you implement it. We do guided implementation for tax planning. If you haven't done tax planning, we can set up the plan, guide you through getting all those strategies put into place so you can actually win on some of these things and not go, well, I know I'm supposed to set that up, but I'm really not sure where to start. They told me to do this, but where do I go from here? So we kind of fill that gap and then everybody wins, right?
Got you. Awesome. Well, before we get into that, I have last two questions left. One is on the, on the business side, you mentioned kind of solopreneurs, I think, right? So do you help them turning into more of a, I guess, multipreneur, or at least entrepreneur, not just solopreneur, just working for themselves? Is one of the things you guys help them do?
Well, it depends. Some solopreneurs actually enjoy it. That's what they don't
Right.
want to manage a team. They don't want to deal with any of that stuff. They're like, just let me do what I'm good at, and that's it. But there are some really cool things on the tax strategy wise. If you're a solopreneur and you do not end up selling your business, you can literally set up a way to exit yourself. Meaning you could put in a pension plan that will essentially be your selling point, right? What's going to sustain you for the next 20, 30 years. Of course, we're not going to retire because most of us solo entrepreneurs, we always love to be doing something, right? So I love this group. And that's one of the strategies that if you're making good money, don't have a lot of things you can deduct, and you're facing a tax bill and you don't think that in the future you're going to sell this, you're like, what can I do? So definitely find a time on my calendar. I'd love to walk you through some things, see if it fits. For that, I need to have a tax liability of at least 50,000 or more and be a consistent, like your business is going to be making at least the same amount of money every year or more.
Gotcha.
Okay? I hope that helps.
Yeah, no, I'll leave those links and all for Amanda, whatever, she has with the videos and all that stuff. Okay, last question before we get into my last three final questions is, for the real estate investors, obviously that's another category we talked about. How do you help them with the tax strategies and all that?
So we look at it as a holistic strategy. So again, I mentioned pension planning. We have some real estate investors that if it's active business, you can take advantage potentially of some of those strategies. And then a lot of the investors already know about it, but we use specialists for DSTs, for opportunity zones, being able to take that money, maybe even into a syndicate and work the strategies in that route. But if you're making money and have now a tax liability, then it's working with maybe our alternative investments and going, okay, well, I've got this, I made all this money. Now what am I going to do? How can I put this back into play? So there are a few strategies, one on the tax side that we can work on, and then how do we do that if we're just making too much money and we need to have other options?
Awesome, great. So yeah, if you're a real estate investor, that's another one. You can reach out to Amanda and have a conversation and see if that's something you can work on. I know a lot of real estate investors, one of the things is, 1031 exchange. If not, I'm going to pay so much taxes. So there might be other alternative strategies that you can talk to Amanda, not worry about constantly the 1031 exchange. So anyway, last three questions, Amanda. I guess the best book, or your favorite book, I guess, your best book or a favorite book for you so far that you have read that you would recommend for others?
Yeah, this is a tough one because I love a lot of self-help development. I think I'm probably drawn more to that, but I will say There are two books that I would suggest anybody listening to this podcast to read, because we're talking about business and we're talking about. So, my husband actually wrote a book called Unleash Your Financial Powerhouse. It takes all the complex terminology of finance and brings it down into a simple 4-step method. And I will say that kids have read this book. All different ages have read it and found so much value and said, oh, that's so much easier to understand what the 1% is doing that I could do for myself at the stage I'm at. The other book I would suggest is Walking into Destiny. It's by Christopher Snyder. He's the one that started the Exit Planning Institute, and he gives 11 steps that every business owner should take for an exit. I just think it's highly valuable for whatever business stage you are in, whether you're brand new starting off and going, how should I set up my business the right way? Or I've already walked through and I'm on my way, and what should I be doing at this point?
Awesome. Well, what inspires you to get up and do what you do every day these days?
Well, I never thought I'd be sitting in this seat. I think as a child and a young adult, I was, looking for passion and looking to help people just in general. And stepping into the role that I am today, I get to help small business owners that help others. And I get really fired up when the work that I do gets to go beyond me to somebody else in their business, and that goes and ripples out, that we make a really great big impact and bring lots of great things to the world. That gets me up every day to keep going.
Awesome. That's a great one. All right. Well, last but not the least, since you read a lot of books, so I'm sure you have a lot of tips, and especially you deal with so many businesses. So I'm sure you have a lot of tips there too, but you just have to pick one. It could be personal, professional, doesn't matter. One tip that you want to share, you would like to share with everybody.
Yeah. I was thinking about this because I saw this one on there. It's so easy to make excuses. And I laughed with saying that I should make a book of excuses because I'm really good at making reasons for things not working out or not doing it. My tip would be to look at the excuse that or the reason you may be saying why you're not doing, to go a little deeper, because sometimes we are not doing things in our business or in our personal life, or we're saying these things to ourselves that could be holding us back. And it might just be fear and maybe not knowing how to do it or any of those things. So that would be my tip, is just look at what you're saying to yourself. If it's an excuse or a reason, what could you do to make it actually a reality?
That's an awesome tip. As we there's a personal development course I went through. One of the things it talks about, it's called Landmark, by the way, Landmark Worldwide.
Yeah.
So that one says, the little voice in your head, what is it saying? Because it's always chirping, and people think, well, what are you talking about? That's exactly what we're talking about. That one, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's a great tip. It is hard to, it takes time to notice that because it's an automatic thing. That's a great tip. If people can learn how to notice that, then that's 90% of the battle right there. So awesome, Amanda. Yeah, great. Thanks for taking the time. And now, like I said, I'll be sharing Amanda's, website, social media, whatever I have, and then reach out to her if you think she can help you or educate you. She loves educating people, as you can see. So I would highly recommend reaching out. She's in Dallas-Fort Worth, but I think she can help anybody anywhere. So, awesome, Amanda. Thanks again for taking the time.
Yeah, thank you.